Welcome once again to the NBA bubble. Almost 3 months ago, 22 teams gathered here in Orlando for the restart of this unprecedented season. Now we're down to the final two who will play for the right to be called NBA champions.
I mean, it wasn't even like it was close. It was a landslide victory. Gang. Blouses. I was there, I seen it. You don't believe me? You think I'm making it up? You think I'm trying to, enhance the story because I'm involved? I'm trying to give myself an excuse. Challenge them. All right? And make sure your people is there to see the game. Because you might get embarrassed. Trust me.
All right, he beat you in basketball, and then what happened?
After it was all over, he took us in the house and served us pancakes.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today I am back from the video to discuss the 2020 playoffs. And why I'm doing this is because in the 2021 playoffs, the teams that had a lot of success in the NBA bubble really struggled in the first round. Of course, the Lakers, the defending champions, lost to the Phoenix Suns, the Boston Celtics lost to the Brooklyn Nets, and the Miami Heat were swept by the Milwaukee Bucks. So with 3 out of the 4 conference finalists from last year not making it past the first round, that has raised a lot of questions about how legit the NBA bubble was. And in this video, I'm just going to go through 3 main points: what I think of the NBA bubble, how difficult it was, and what I think people in the future will say about the bubble looking back on it historically. Now, also, one reason I'm talking about the NBA bubble is because recently Charles Barkley had some harsh comments for those teams who had success in that bubble.
Charles, they were in the finals 6 months ago.
Yeah, listen, that bubble basketball, it was a bunch of bubble gangsters. Let's say that don't count.
So
the
LeBron,
bubble gangsters don't count.
So Barkley is always very outspoken, and he's definitely going to tell you how he feels. And whether you agree with Barkley or not, I think there are some positives and some negatives to the NBA bubble. I think not having fans in the stadium for that playoff atmosphere had a big impact on how teams played. Also, there was no home court advantage and no benefit of being a top seed. And players who at this bubble, they were locked down in a Disney resort, which can sound pretty great, but after being there for 2 months, it does get very old. And most of those guys spent a lot of time in their rooms being bored out of their minds, and they were essentially locked down in a quarantine. Now, on the flip side of that, these players didn't have to travel, and immediately after games, they go back to their room and get treatment. So there were positives and negatives to the NBA bubble, and you can spin that however you want. And for this specific topic, I find myself not really choosing a side. I think I fall in the middle, and I'm pretty objective when it comes to the NBA bubble. Now, looking at one side of the argument, some fans would say this championship ring has absolutely no value. It was a fake championship, and it's a bubble ring or a Mickey Mouse championship. Obviously, some of those people are trolling, but I think there's a large part of the NBA community that actually believes this championship has little to no value. So my point of view on this is pretty straightforward. I think every championship definitely has value. It takes grit, it takes toughness, and overall a lot of team effort to win a championship. So yes, in the overall sense, the bubble championship, it does count historically, and it should count in your mind. The real question is, how much do you value it? Now, if you're someone like LeBron James, you obviously have more a positive view on that championship.
And who they've seen. The one thing that I know for sure, that I've been a part of 2 teams that's won the 2 hardest championships in NBA league history. The 2016 Cavs coming back from 3-1 versus 73-9 team, being down 3-1 versus one of the best teams that ever been assembled.
Two-time MVP.
Two-time MVP. And then what we went through in the bubble.
Oh, beautiful! Have you guys heard this one?
So obviously LeBron James holds that championship in high regard. I strongly disagree with this statement. I think there's many championships that were more impressive and overall more difficult than the 2020 Lakers chip. And once again, talking about ring value, that 2016 championship in Cleveland, that is by far LeBron's most meaningful ring and his most valuable championship. And of course, you have other valuable rings like Hakeem in 94, 95, Dirk in 2011, Magic Johnson 1980, Jordan 98. There's a countless number of championship rings that stick out as more valuable than other rings. And unfortunately, that bubble championship does not make my list as the most difficult championships ever. Now, to kind of change gears, let's look at why these three teams, the Lakers, the Celtics, and Heat, struggled so much in the 2021 season. Miami and LA had a 71-day turnaround from the championship to the start of the 2021 season. That is the shortest turnaround in sports history. And all three of these teams had major injuries this year. Of course, LeBron and AD missed significant time, Jamal Murray was out for the year, Jimmy Butler and Bam were banged up, Tatum, Brown, and Kemba all missed significant time, and overall these three teams were plagued by injuries. And it is very unpopular to say, but I blame Adam Silver for these players being injured in the short turnaround. I think the NBA was so greedy and so desperate for that opening night money on Christmas Day. Now lastly, let's talk once again about the Lakers and their championship in 2020, and how it will be perceived 20 to 30 years in the future. If I had to guess, like most things, context over time it will erode, and a lot of NBA fans will forget, and it'll be kind of washed over as simply another championship. You've seen that in the past with the 2012 Heat, the 99 Spurs, and other teams that had odd championship runs. And specifically for LeBron James, this fourth championship back then, it really did not move the needle on the GOAT argument or him being better than Jordan. So I think in 20 to 30 years when LeBron James, he's still going to be arguing for that GOAT crown. I think a lot of people will forget the context and the overall surrounding of the NBA bubble. But again, my overall thoughts are that every championship matters and every championship counts. The thing that varies is the value of that championship and how much it means to the player and the overall fans. And I cannot speak for you, but I can speak for myself. That championship does count, but its value is not nearly as high as other championships. And once again, I can see the argument for both sides, saying that championship was harder as well as easier. So that is my thoughts on the 2021 championship. I thought it was very important to revisit that championship, as recently after those teams lost, a lot of NBA fans used them losing as an opportunity to kind of downplay the NBA bubble. And after the Charles Barkley comments, I really want to make a video on how difficult and how tough that bubble championship was. So as always, thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time.